Hello my friends and welcome. Mainly we have the good news for Ukraine today. Let's go to Robotyne. It is located on the south part of the front lines and today Ukraine moved more towards that village. This move was very light, so yesterday and today. However, some of the resources reported that Ukrainian army is already in the village. Actually, here we have two of the vectors of attack, let's say three. One is over here. This is quite unsuccessful because of the defense lines that Russia was able to build. One is over here, more successful, and the most successful is over here. Ukraine, by the way, have already passed those two defense lines. It is still complicated for our guys to advance because Russia mined all of the territory. This image is taken near to Robotyne. As you can see, there are so many holes that it's like the moon terrain. Even the forest lines do not exist any longer. The Russian army usually builds the trenches across the three lines, and also there is one more Russian trench. So the tactics of Ukraine is to use as much artillery as possible to evaporate those Russian defense lines. Only in that case we may minimize our losses. This video shows the job of the Ukrainian artillery in Robotyne village. So Russian soldiers continue to use the local buildings to hide or to store their ammunition. So our army has to demolish those buildings and only after that move forward. So by the time Ukraine liberates this village, there will be no any buildings in it. Unfortunately, there is no other way how Ukrainian army may proceed forward with minimum losses. So as for Robotyne, I expect this village or what is left from it to be liberated very soon. Some of the interesting FPV videos were posted recently. For example, this is the Russian BMP and here you can see two of the Russian soldiers. What were they thinking about going to Ukraine? No one knows. And we have the confirmation from the other camera from the different drone. All of this stuff is happening near to Robotyne village. The Ukrainian drones are getting more and more sophisticated. Our guys start to use the proper software and hardware, launching those drones for 15 kilometers of range. Hopefully our technologies would not leak to the Russian side. The cybersecurity is a very important thing, and I also highly suggest you to protect your personal data. For the most robust protection, I recommend Guardia. I always try to secure my online activity. For that purpose, I just recently discovered Guardia. So what is Guardia? It is the browser extension and also mobile app that creates highly secured environment and improves my experience online. Why am I so worried about my online security? Well, actually, I have the personal story about it. You see, this is not the only YouTube channel I have. I also have the other channel called Pilot Blog dedicated to aviation. So a few years ago, my Pilot Blog channel was hacked and I completely lost it. Hackers, or you may call them scammers, proposed me to transfer some of the Bitcoin so they would return the channel for me. I decided not to do it and go through the official way by asking to restore the channel from the YouTube support. But we all know what YouTube support is. It took them several months to restore the channel. All of that time my channel was renamed and some of the crypto scam videos were played on it. But then I finally got the access for my channel. I discovered that I lost all of my videos. It was very sad for me because I lost many of the aviation videos that I filmed in Indonesia. Yes, some of them I got on my hard drive and I was able to restore, but many gone completely. So doing something new on that channel was useless, so I deleted it and created the new one with the same name. And now I have around 1 million subscribers on my Pilot Blog channel. The happy ending story, but it could have been even better if I had received the proper message, for example, as I got from the Guardia, because it has the real-time monitoring of malicious emails that bypass the spam folder. So that happened to me. I opened the ordinary email with ordinary link and then my channel was hacked. Even the two-factor authentication was not able to cope with that, because hackers get the remote access for your device. In that case, they may go to any kind of your accounts, click I forgot my password and reset it for their own. That is what happened to me. So I wish I had Guardia by that time. Also, Guardia has the identity monitoring feature that notifies you if your information was leaked to the network real time. Plus, Guardia blocks the dangerous downloads. If you are looking for some software, as I was looking, downloading the special program for this flight controller, you may easily download the phishing file that will create lots of the viruses on your PC or on your mobile device. Guardia always warns me if the file is dangerous. Guardia will also help you to avoid the malicious websites. Guardia has the special protection for that as well. There is the abusive notification feature, so no more annoying stuff and scammers on your devices. Speaking about the credibility of Guardia, more than 1,600,000 people already trusted their choice in this platform. It has one of the best ratings out there, and I personally trust my security to Guardia. Right now, it's so safe for me to surf in internet, to use my browser and to check my emails. You can scan your browser for threats for free by visiting my personal link guard.io/Dennis in a video description just below. Installing the extension where you have the 7-day free trial to the premium features such as a real-time threat removal. By the way, if you download the Guardia extension with my personal link, you'll have 20% of discount, valid especially for our community. So if you want to have all of the security features, I highly recommend you to join their affordable premium plan for full protection. Even though Guardia is the sponsor of today's video, I still highly recommend you this platform because I personally use it. And it is awesome. This road is on the way to Robotyne, and Russia put their tank over there, and what happened? They lost their tank. It shows how Ukraine uses the artillery very precisely, and the tank lost the turret from what I can see, the classic one. Alright, some breaking news while I'm recording this video. This is Moscow region, Odintsova, not far away from the Moscow itself, and something is smoking out there. The Russian officials say that it's some sort of the construction building that was not in operation, but as for me, just concrete doesn't give those special effects. That is why it could be the storage of some sort of the high flammable materials. The fire itself is very similar to fuel or ammunition fire. And this is from the last night, also the Moscow region Davydov. I would say looks the same. Firstly, Russia reported about the drone attacks, but later on cancelled that. They said that it was some sort of the usual accident on a car parking stand, but no one shows the images from the close perspective. Let's go back to the front lines. The hotspot number 2 we have in Urozhaine. Ukraine recently moved to the northern part of Urozhaine, and as for today, I know the information that our guys took the half of the village. The fighting there is very intense, and we also have the video confirmation about it. Alright, the image is blurred a little, but the tactics of Ukrainian army is the same as in Robotyne. Our soldiers continue to use the artillery systems, demolishing every house where Russian soldiers might hide. This is the situation in Urozhaine right now. Ukraine was able to cross the river over here and now entered the village. Again, 2 vectors of attack, one is here, the other one is from the north. Ukraine uses quite a lot of forces to liberate it, so I think that soon it's gonna happen. One more video from Urozhaine, this time from the southern part of this village. The biggest Russian ammunition depot in that place was kaboomed by Ukrainian artillery, so they stored their shells in this wide building and it went totally kaput. Before it was just a farmer's hangar, but Russia continued to use those types of the buildings to store their ammunition. Alright, we have one more Russian kamikaze tank, so the tank is over here, and here are a couple of mines just on the road. The road has the light gray color, but mines are dark. So the crew of the tank may spot those mines quite easily. But what this tank or the driver of the tank is doing? They corrected their way straight to the mines. They should have just continued their normal way and everything could be alright. But instead they hit the mines. The tank is lost, but Russian crew was able to evacuate. So what about the Russian mighty tanks? As Putin said, the best tanks in the world. Well, the Russian soldiers modernized them with extra armor. As you can see, this is the very robust construction. For sure, Javelin is just useless against that wood. I wonder why Russian soldiers continue to post those pictures, because it's the secret modification. No one should know about it. No one. But it seems like Russians do not care. They continue to publish those very unique photos where you may find the nanotechnology that they use. Finally, our soldiers were able to trophy at least one of the armored vehicle with this unique armor. Well, I probably know how it's done. Let me explain. Russia grows the trees very close to the nuclear reactors. After several years, then the tree is full grown, they basically cut it into those woods and they have the uranium armor, even better than on Abrams tanks. And if they put the Z signs on it, it will be even more robust. So it's fantastic that our guys were able to capture this unique technology. This is the Russian ground artillery system that was attacked by the Ukrainian FPV drone. The drone went just in the front part of the vehicle, causing it to collapse. I cannot show you the full video over here, my friends. For that, please check out my Telegram channel. It was done somehow like that, but the track was moving. It is sometimes hard to identify the places of the front lines where the image was taken. Without the description to the video, it's almost unreal. So here, unknown place, 2 of the Russian tornadoes were kaboomed by the Ukrainian drones. It's perfectly well done by the Ukrainian drone soldiers, far behind the front lines for sure. About the Russian possible advancement towards Kupiansk, they haven't started their massive attack yet. However, they start to perform small short attacks to identify the weak spot of Ukrainian defense. For this military map, we have no changes. The distance to Kupiansk from the Russian positions is just 8.8 kilometers. Roughly around 6 miles, which is not far away. But to get to Kupiansk, they need to follow the urban environment, which is not good for Russians. The ISV published the very interesting information today about the Wagner deal with Lukashenko and Putin. It basically failed, they say. The problem now lies with financing of the Wagner soldiers. Russia doesn't want to do it any longer because they see the competitor force in Wagner. Lukashenko also doesn't want to invest in Wagner. He is not able to control this force either. So the ISV says that part of the Wagner soldiers will go to Africa, but part will return to Russia. Well, I guess if the Wagner deal fails, they may try to go to Moscow again. I do not exclude that variant, but finally I think Russia will start the financing of the Wagner army. Now about Kazachi Lahiri. It was confirmed that Ukraine captured the Major Tomov. He was the guy responsible for the Russian defense in this region. About the Ukrainian positions in this area, so far we are out of clue whether Ukrainians return back to Ukrainian-controlled territory or expanding their position. It is a top-secret mission, so it's hard to find the information about it. However, I'm almost sure that Ukrainians are still in this area. We have the video of the Russian tanker Sig that sustained the damage because of the Ukrainian boat drone attack. As we saw in the video, the drone hit this area. I think that it's reinforced because of the construction deck, but I could be wrong because I'm lack of the competence in this area. So this is the big hole actually. The water went straight into the engine compartment, flooding many of the important rooms and systems of this vessel. Because the ship was empty, it survived. Otherwise, it could have been a big ecological disaster in the Black Sea. After all, the tanker is disabled for a very long time. Because not just this hole is the problem lies with the ship systems. They were flooded by the salt water and should be replaced, and I'm sure that most of those systems are made in the Western countries. So I don't think that sanctioned Russia is able to fix this vessel very fast. One more Russian attack on Zaporizhzhia today. They attacked the city yesterday. There were numerous of wounded people and many lost their lives. Today everything repeated. This is the central part of the city where usually it is crowded. And this particular hotel was reserved by the United Nations to provide humanitarian support for Ukrainian civilians. We even have the official statement from the United Nations representative in Ukraine. The United Nations employees and charity organization workers were using this hotel for humanitarian support of the people. So you see, then Ukraine aims towards the Russian military infrastructure, Russia aims towards our civilian infrastructure. President Biden wants to increase the support of Ukraine by asking Congress to give more military help, this time for $13.1 billion. Altogether, Ukraine should obtain the military units for around $42 billion this year, just from the United States. I think that Joe Biden plans to increase that bill till 55 billion. So why do we need more? Because Russia also increased the investments into their military. Plus, we already see the signs of the future new mobilization in the Russian army. As I said to you before, this war is about resources. The main goal for Ukraine and for our allies is to cut Russia from supplies using sanctions at first and provide Ukraine with more tools to reach the victory. But Russia has the joker, the nuclear weaponry. But I don't think that they will use it, and we have the same rhetorics from the Polish president. He said about it in the Washington Post interview. He does not believe that Putin will use the nuclear weaponry. Also, the decision to use the nuclear weaponry depends not just on Putin, but on many of the factors and many of the army personnel. More reports about the long-range cruise missile Taurus that Germany may give to Ukraine are coming to the press. It seems like the majority of the German politicians, including the members of the ruling party, do support the transfer of those cruise missiles. By the way, the range of it is 500 kilometers. I think that the final word is up to Chancellor Scholz. He is that slow in his decision making, but finally he is pushed by our allies and from internal members of parliament. So hopefully he will sign the bill for it very soon. Alright, we have one more point where Ukraine may try to land their forces. It is Nova Kakhovka, and just recently there were many of the kabooms. For this week I know about 3 of the cases where Ukraine used artillery to target the Russian military positions. The Ukrainian army needs to create the landing spots on the enemy shore. That is how we may unbalance their supplies and finally find a place for the major strike. Russia posted this video with a T-72 tank saying that the Ukrainian crew abandoned the tank and it was targeted by the Russian anti-tank system. Yes, it was a big kaboom, but finally it is not the Ukrainian tank. Because here you can see the Z. This video shows the attitude from Russia towards their own soldiers, so there are many of the wounded Russian soldiers who were abandoned just on the apron near to the airplane. This Ilyushin-76 aircraft supposed to take them to hospital in Moscow. But because of the drone attack in Moscow, all of the airports out there were closed. So the departure time for them was postponed till the evening. And guess what? Those soldiers who required the urgent medical care were treated like animals. There was absolutely no food for them and no any care. So basically those who could walk helped those who were lying. It is the reality. Russian soldier is just meat. The Minister of the Ukrainian Foreign Affairs Dmytro Kuleba confirmed the idea that there should be no negotiations with Russia unless they withdraw their forces from Ukraine, and there will be no negotiations with Putin. He said that Zelensky will never sit at the same table with Putin. I think that it was the reply to the United Arab Emirates officials who said that they will try to arrange the meeting between Putin and Vladimir Zelensky. It is the no-go scenario. It will never happen. It also means until Putin keeps his power, there will be the war. And just for love, the tweet from the Russian propaganda man Solovyov, one of the biggest they have. He says, urgently, Russia conquers the moon. There he tells about the moon program of the Russian Federation and how successful they are in conquering the moon, the term that they also used for Ukraine. So they are unable to conquer anything on the planet Earth. That is why they are moving towards the moon as the easy target. I will open the small secret for Russia. Americans hadn't left any kind of the washing machines on the moon. So your main goal is useless. My friends, now please press the like to this video and also please check out my personal link in the video description just below where you may have the access for Guardia with a huge discount for my followers. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.